Welcome in TNCRadio.live. This is Keep On Talkin' with Tom Kirk and Christine Gray. And now here's your host, Christine.
Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing mediocre tonight. I've seemed to got one of those little seasonal bugs that's going around. So if I sound a little froggy and don't talk as much tonight as I normally would, all I have to say to our listeners, enjoy it. I'm probably not going to be doing as much talking tonight and let Christine and you do a lot of it. And just so you know, we've got Catwoman with us and Dutch tonight. There, Christine. I'll be doing your call screen.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that since I can't see it. It'd be nice to see it. But tonight, I think we're going to be talking about mats. All things coming up for mats, correct?
That is correct. And it's your tips, tricks, things you'd like to do, going over some of the things that's useful for drivers to know, such as truck parking, things of that nature, but also some of the vendors you may want to see, such as the FMCSA and some of the hot topics in trucking that you may want to give them politely your opinion on.
Politely. That's an interesting word. Interesting, especially when, truck parking, safety, changing of regulations repeatedly, correct?
And that's true. And that, I think, is why you need to try to be polite. Because if you go in there with an attitude and start dropping all kinds of 4-letter words or saying you're morons or whatever, they're going to stop listening. But if you can go in there, like we do so often on our show each week, coming with these well-reasoned arguments and saying, here's my concerns, what can you do? I think you'll have a much better experience with the FMCSA, and hopefully they'll learn something from us because, a lot of years they say they do learn something from drivers, and let's hope this year they really learn a lot because a lot has changed, not just in the last 3 years, but in the last 6 to 8 months, and a lot of it's not for the good.
No, it's not. Especially as states clamp down on parking and the list goes on, correct? We're looking at all kinds of new stuff.
That really does, Christine. And I know earlier tonight you were talking about a parking issue that you've come across. And the FMCSA keeps telling everybody, let's get more parking. But you saw something in your travels that you're seeing more and more of that I think needs to be a concern to drivers and needs to be something that the FMCSA is made aware of.
Yes, actually. So my biggest thing is like when you cross through Tennessee, we know that there's no parking on ramps in Arkansas. Tennessee is now brought from a 10-hour break and arrest area down to 2 hours. They want to limit 2 hours and make you move. I just pulled into a Kentucky rest area, first time in a while, and it now has a new sign that says 4-hour maximum parking. Well, I'm kind of confused because didn't they just pass this great big huge transportation bill about parking, and yet we've got states who are clamping down on parking inside of our 10-hour rest break. So I'm kind of confused. That's how I see it.
Well, and I'm going to add to your confusion even more. Virginia, as you know, on I-81, a lot of drivers, or even on 95, would rely on the way stations for parking. They're now starting to restrict that for the overnight parking and their say is, hey, we had too many drivers making a mess, damaging property, things like that. We're not going to allow parking here. But I think one of the reasons this is such a concern is, in your case, as a hazmat driver, you guys have always been taught and trained, park where in areas with it's the least population, rest areas, way stations, etc. So where are you supposed to park now? A ditch?
That's a really good question. I do spend most of my time inside rest areas, or if I pull into a truck stop, it's got to be early enough to park way in the back of the lot and do a lot of walking. My tank wagons don't sit up front. Nothing I carry is smart for me to park near a populated area, along with the hazmat regulations that we go by, along with, the big giant fat green book that they like to keep altering. We get stuck in a position where we're limited. We are very limited. This load I've got myself, this load I've got on now, is extremely limited as far as where I can park this load. So it just depends. I mean, I really wish that they would make up their minds and stop playing. Parking is parking. There's too many of us out here who get hurt, run over, hit on an off-ramp when you know you're not supposed to be there. And they have to make, it's been, 5-6 years now we're tackling the parking problem. If anybody else, can remember all those meetings that everybody went to, big national parking transportation thing, and nothing's been done. Nothing.
And in many ways, I think it's kind of getting worse. Hey, Dutch, what are some of the things that you're seeing out there in terms of parking? And what are some of the things that maybe if you stop by the FMCSA booth, you'd like to tell them?
That they need more. Like at this little Cenex truck stop I'm at. I don't consider it a truck stop, but they do have a repair place, little mom and pop store, but I think at the most they might have 60 or 70 spots, and I'm here just taking my 30-minute break. I'm about to leave because I got to go down the road, but I mean, if you don't, like she said, if you don't get to certain places, East Coast is the worst. You don't get there by 3:30, 4 o'clock, you're not going to get a spot. Not a good one, at least. Or if you go to like a pilot, you're going to have to pay for it. I mean, that's as high as $20 a night to pay for a parking spot now. I'm like, really? Give me a free shower. No, we can't do that. Give me some. All you do is give you a free bottle of water, which costs them, 25 cents if you're lucky. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, Love's is the only place I like to stop at because first come, first serve.
Mm-hmm.
Their fuel is good. I never had a problem with their fuel. Showers are good. They usually have sometimes good food in there. And the newer ones are getting bigger. I mean, they just opened one up somewhere that was like 230 spots. I'm like, that's good. That's what we need. But I just also heard that they just built one. I forget where it was. I was talking to one of the district managers. So I talked to them all to see how they're doing and how it's going out there and how many more they have built. And he said within the last year they built over 60 of them, but there's one that's having a problem with the local neighbors because the housing, I don't know how far the housing is from it, but they're complaining to the community that there's too much noise. I mean, the place hasn't even opened yet, but they're worried about the noise. They're worried about the pollution. They're worried about the riffraff, the problems, the fights. I'm like, okay, well, that's why I have a security guard there. If you don't like it, I mean, tell them to pay for a security guard. I mean, but I see what they're saying, though, because, yeah, there are a lot of noises and a lot of idling. But they got to realize we live in the trucks. They live in their house. They're comfortable, nice and warm. 6 windows. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 windows if we're lucky. 5 sometimes.
Right.
But we live in a small, like, technically I call it a jail cell. So it's not fair to us to tell us that we can't park somewhere because, and I told this lady, she got very animate with me, and I told her, I said, well, first off, what do you drive? A car. Okay, where do the tires come from? Trucks. Exactly. Manufacturers make the tires. We bring it, like, for instance, I have a load of tires behind me right now, 5,000 pounds. Light as you know what, which I love it. But that's just making a little conversation piece. Like, okay, well, we hold tires, we hold the parts for cars, lights, light bulbs, you name it, fuel, whatever. I mean, not gonna get far into it, but without us, these people wouldn't have their luxuries. They won't have anything, nothing in their houses. It's just, but they think of us as dirty because some of our other drivers are dirty. Yes, I understand that. They pour this on the pavement. They pour this. I mean, they do their oil changes on the pavement, so there's stains. But it's also very noisy because we have diesel engines. So why don't they think about building up like some farm? I saw a farm somewhere around here. They had 130 acres for sale. Build a nice truck stop there, but first you gotta get permission. You gotta buy it. I mean, it's regulations. They're just making it harder for us to live, harder for us to work, and it's not right. It's not right at all.
No,
I mean, I hear it all the time. There's not enough parking. There's not enough parking. There's not enough parking. My company won't allow us. If we get caught, they're getting a little more lax on it now. But if we get caught parking at a on like an on and off ramp, if someone takes a picture of our truck, we could get fired. I'm not taking that chance. That's why right now I'm going to head to the facility where I'm delivering. And I looked I love Google. I looked at Google. Okay, I could park there possibly. Might be your spot if they don't have a gate. Maybe I'll just park in front of the gate like I do sometimes, because 7 o'clock in the morning I got to deliver. They're going to open up the gate. I'm going to deliver. I'm leaving, get my next load. I mean, it's easier, less time.
Excuse me, darling. I'm going to hold you right there. I do believe that we need a break.
We are in need of a break.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a couple minutes. TNCRadio.live.
Join Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time for Women Road Warriors on your driver navigation station, tncradio.live.
Finding a safe place to park your rig at night can be a challenge on the road. The Truckers Network, a membership resource site for trucking companies, company drivers, and owner-operators, proudly partners with Truck Park to offer safe and secure overnight truck parking to all Truckers Network members. Truck Park is the digital truck parking leader and America's fastest growing truck parking service. The Truckers Network exists to link truck drivers with the best quality trucking products and services the industry has to offer. Finding safe overnight parking is crucial for truck drivers, and many drivers struggle with finding available parking spots. The limited parking availability causes drivers to lose sleep, which poses a safety risk to others on the road. Safe parking is valuable for drivers and the cargo they're transporting. With this partnership, Truckers Network members will have access to a discount code and be able to reserve parking spots in real time along their truck route at a reduced price. Truck Park gives drivers access to parking locations across most of the United States. Simply enter the city and state to view available parking spaces nearest a pickup or delivery point, then pay to reserve. Parking rates vary at each location, with some rates as low as $10. Truck Park is a values-based company that empowers truck drivers while providing a safe and unmatched experience. The company offers a quick way to find and reserve parking spots throughout the U.S. Truck drivers have access to Truck Park's free mobile app to easily begin reserving parking spots based on their truck route. About the Truckers Network. The Truckers Network exists to link truckers and trucking businesses throughout the United States. The company's mission is to make the life of a truck driver easier by connecting drivers to the highest quality trucking products and services to keep their trucks on the road.
It's Landline Now, followed by Steve Summers' Overnight Drive every night on TNCRadio.live starting at 11 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Central.
Welcome back in TNC Radio.live. This is Keep On Talking. Here's your host, Christine.
Hey, thank you. You know, we've gotten into a really great discussion about parking. And, you know, originally it was supposed to be about math, but I think we've kind of bypassed that. But anyway, the topic...
Melvin.
Go ahead.
I think he was talking to somebody else.
Oh, okay. So the topic basically started from, you know, I saw this, I had seen this other thing that TA has set out a message to all of their stations to not make drivers, they're not moving drivers out of prepaid parking spots if they even haven't paid for them. So if a guy prepays for it and he shows up and all the parking spots are taken, they're not making anybody move. He's right. I mean, you know, like he was saying is that, you know, they've been put in danger, so they're not going to put their people in danger anymore over drivers and parking spots. So what's the point of paid parking? Anybody?
And that's a great question there. Are you back, Jimmy, by any chance? I guess not. But that is a thing and I know some people have brought up, well, it's private property. Excuse me. I don't care if it's private property or not. Brandishment is a crime in every state. And that's when you pull a gun on somebody, that's a crime. And anyone who's taken a firearms class, that's one of the first things, if you have a good instructor, they beat into your head. Never talk to somebody because you not only can be brandishment, can be a threat saying, if you don't get out of here, I'll shoot you or I'll kill you, or threaten in any kind of way while holding that gun, or say you better leave or else, or anything of that nature, because that is a criminal offense in every state. So that's something you don't want to do. And there's a lot of people out there that are lobbying for drivers for protection to carry guns for their safety. This stupidity of other people, makes it, kind of makes it claim, well, you can't trust drivers with guns. They're not going to follow the laws. And if they're doing something they're not supposed to, it's counterproductive. But these are some of the conversations, at MATS that we can go around and have with these truck stops, with these, the FMCSA saying, hey, this is a problem. Paid parking at one point was a thing, but if you're not going to guarantee me that, and you're not going to give me my money back, well, that's theft of service. So now you got a different set of problems. And I don't think that's something that they're thinking about.
No, they're not.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Right there. Sorry about that. Buddy of mine just passed me, and I had to mute the phone real fast. Let's take the instance in Oklahoma City a year and a half ago where the guard shot the truck driver absolutely for nothing. He was taking a 30-minute break in a reserved parking. Him and the truck driver got a little altercation there, and he shot the truck driver in the stomach, and it was a big do-over nut, and he goes next door the next day over to the gun range and commit suicide. But, I mean, this parking issue can be fixed, and it don't take billions of dollars to fix it. If I was a truck stop manager, this is the way I would do it. If you buy fuel with me, you're going to get you a parking spot. Because, it's just like the other night, I filled the truck up, it was $800. And there wasn't no place to park, This take 2 weeks ago. All right, I'm coming. Everybody had dropped off the 80, coming out of California, going to California, because 80 was closed down in 4 or 5 different spots over there. So I-40 was just overrun. Just packed to the hilt. And I was over there right outside of West Memphis, and I had called and got me a parking spot. Got over there, the truck up with fuel. Went in and told the girl, I said, hey, I need here, I'm checking in with you and all that. She said, well, good luck on finding one. I said, well, you best go out there and get somebody out the way. And they said, we're not going out there. I had to drive 45 minutes in violation to find a safe parking place before I finally got someplace that was safe. The other thing on this parking issue is, and I do have a handicap parking sticker, you've seen it, Tom, is these idiots that don't know what these blue on each side with people that saying handicap parking pull up there, and park. They just park wherever they feel like they want to. But
and I'm going to jump in here real quick just for a second, because the funny thing is, it may be private property, but if you call the police and tell them that there's somebody parked in a handicap spot, it's amazing how fast they come out there and write that ticket, because they're getting revenue. So I don't fully buy the argument that this is private property. The police can't or won't do anything.
Most of these states will write you a $650 ticket right on the spot for being in a handicapped spot with no permit. But going to the federal way to settle this, I know you run 80 a lot. You've been across that place right up that other side of Big Spring, where they went out there and bulldozed 50 acres out there where you probably park 200 or 300 trucks in there, put dumpsters up, night lighting, and you could go in there about any time. Why can't they do that in all these states at 2 or 3 different locations? And it's not going to, they could solve this. They're closing these rest areas down right and left. Just close them down. Why not let us park in them? But we go back to what they were talking about earlier is, truck drivers go in there, and instead of walking their lazy butt over there and putting their garbage in a trash can or whatever, they just throw it out on the ground and leave. That is the reason people don't want us on their parking lots. That's the reason people don't want us in their neighborhoods. The trucking industry has got to police itself.
Good point.
Very true.
And you've said it so well there, Goucher. So, I mean, I know you've got a bit of a reputation in the trucking industry for going and advocating for drivers, whether it's with the head of TA Petro, Pilot Flying J, wherever it may be, talking to the FMCSA. Are you planning on going to the truck show this year? And if so, will you be going to the FMCSA booth or any of the other booths there? And what are some of the issues you want to make sure everybody's hearing about?
Well, mine is if I make it up there, I've been extremely busy in the state of South Carolina hitting my lawmakers on this deal, and got the ear turned the right way. Just got to wait and see if they're going to do something about it. But if I do make it up there, the FCSA is going to be the first place I stop. I have got a situation going on. That's on for another story. But anyway, yeah, I need to address them, and I will be going there if we make it up there.
And I think that makes a lot of sense there. And actually, I'm looking up their booth number now. I know they're in the North Hall this year. But I know there's going to be some other. And actually, Catwoman, quick question for you. Are you going to be going to the truck show this year? And is there any places like the FMCSA or things like that where you want to go by and make sure you make an issue heard?
No, we're not going to be making it this year because of him being off for 3 months, being sick. So we're not going to make that. Sorry, but go ahead.
Well, okay, well, let's change a little bit. If you could make it there, is there an issue that you would want to bring up to the FMCSA?
Well, yes, it would be the parking. In fact, I'd sent letters out to, Mr. Buttigieg, but what good was that? I sent letters to him anyway about it, and I usually do, and I usually try to keep up on that because parking is a big issue. And, like I've heard about the truck stops not wanting to secure your spot for you. They used to do that for us because we would always rent a spot, and we made the companies pay for it. It's like I told them, I said, you pay for a parking spot for us or you're not going to have a team because, parking's too hard out there. But then they changed it over there after we had, stopped using that the companies, TA and the others won't come out and make anyone leave. But, the police came out twice on the spot because, someone did get belligerent with them, and the managers did call, but I guess they're too scared now to do that. But, yes, parking is definitely an issue because of safety. And, you just can't park anywhere you want anymore. I mean, the cities are blocking you out, and truck stops are blocking you out, and rest areas and everything else is blocking you out. But they still want you to stick to the laws that they're proposing and burdening us with. And it's just not good. And we can't solve that for anything. And it is very simple to solve. I mean, there's a lot of land along all those areas for parking, but as Monkey Gouger said, it is a lot of, a few of the drivers that are downright pigs, just throwing their things out, and they really don't care, which is making it difficult for, the good drivers to go ahead and get anywhere safe to park.
Yep. And I just looked up that booth. I just looked at that booth number for the FMCSA. They're going to be in the north lobby or the north-south lobby, depending on how you want to look at it. And they're going to be in booth number 40580. And for people who remember where the old America's Trucking Network booth used to be, it's going to be in that same basic area, but basically to the other ends of the booths there in one of those more middle rows. So definitely stop by there and talk to them. And while you're there, the ATA will be nearby. And if you've got some thoughts about how they can lobby for drivers as well, give them your mind. Once again, be polite. There's going to be a lot of groups here that represent trucking and drivers. This is a chance to make your voice heard, but make your point. You're not going to win everyone over, but if you go in polite, it'll go a lot further.
Absolutely. Time for that.
Yes,
Very true.
on the letter I sent, I even asked them to come down and attend mats and actually talk to the drivers about it. But obviously, I didn't get a letter back, and I was polite. I was really, really polite. It's not really the letter I wanted to write, but yes, it was a very polite letter. But yeah,
Well,
I did not receive an answer back at all.
that's typical. Okay, Catwoman, I'm going to put you on hold for a second. We're going to hold this and go to a commercial.
And we'll be right back here on TNCRadio.live.
Truckers Life Radio from TFC Global with your host, Ron Frazier, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On the show, Ron interviews guests to help inform professional drivers just like you about the importance of things like human trafficking to sex addiction to how to overcome the impossible odds on the way to success. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. One of the things I'm in the habit of teaching my patients is that the mind is kind of like the stomach. That is, sometimes we have things that are undigested, and when there's undigested material, it has the power to repeat on us. But there's a major difference between the mind and the stomach. Because the stomach can only keep things undigested for 8, 9 hours, and then it's all out of there. But the mind can keep undigested material for an entire lifetime, 70, 80 years. In fact, frequently I'll have people talk about things they've never talked about before, or things that they've blocked out for many years. Traumas, terrible things from their childhood, things from combat, or car accidents, or ugly moments from watching their parents conflict. The key is digest everything in your system, and often that means bringing it up and facing it, feeling it, expressing it, and then releasing it. And then you know what happens? It's finally digested, and it stops repeating on you.
Ready for the power of positive and something that will put you back to a time you wanted to last forever? Music is the ultimate time machine. What was your favorite time? Do you want to go back there? LTD Radio features the songs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s that will transport you to a happier time. It'll make you smile and brighten your day. We could all use that about now. TNCRadio.live is proud to carry the great music of LTD Radio.
Welcome back in TNCRadio.live. We're live on a Wednesday night. This is Keep On Talking. And here's your host, Christine Gray.
Thanks, Tom. We've gotten into a great discussion about truck parking, which is kind of wasn't the topic we were aiming for, but I think it's a great topic. Everybody's got their input. Jimmy, if you would go ahead and finish what you were talking about, love to hear it. Did we lose him?
Well, it says he's there. Gouger, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You were bringing up some good points during the break about some of your concerns about some of these new FMCSA proposed score rates things and some thoughts on that, as well as the underride carriage. Why don't you dig into that a little bit?
I tell you what, Tom, why don't you back up just a minute? So the FMCSA has published in the last few hours a revision, which has been talked about since 2017, a revision to the entire SMS way of looking at things, scoring things, and determining whether or not particular trucks or companies are a danger out on the road. And so all of that's been published literally within, 5 hours now? So you can go out and check that out for yourself. But it does, as often these things do, favor now the large trucking companies over the smaller ones. So Todd Spencer, the president of the OOIDA, says the cause of the highway safety would best be served by the agency moving ahead swiftly with large truck safety casual factors study authorized by Congress. You never fix any problem without a clear understanding of what caused it. So he's saying, the stuff that they're going to fix here isn't necessarily what the issue is. And at the same time, you've got people from the ATA say, we are reviewing the proposed changes, but we support the efforts to refine the CSA program so it can be more effective tool for prioritizing carriers for intervention. The question here is, what should the FMCSA be looking at to determine whether or not they can predict and take off the road in advance those drivers and those companies that are potential safety issues to the rest of the population? And that's, to me, the interesting thing that's here, guys, is that they're trying to determine what these rules are while the plane's already in the air. So they're going to switch the wings out while the plane's in the air. And that's always
last
dangerous.
Time I checked, Boeing says that doesn't work real well.
Yeah, that's always a dangerous thing. So here comes the change. What are they changing? Okay, well, they're going to make something simplified. And everybody typically looks at something and says, okay, well, that's good. Simplification's good because there was some confusion here. And that's fine. I don't think anybody's going to argue about that. But then they're making a bunch of other changes too, and nobody quite understands what these changes, what is it that the FMCSA really does with these changes? What are they going to do with this? How are they going to measure it? What's going to be the answer? All of these things that, so you fix one area of gray and you just move it to a different area of gray.
Isn't that kind of what they're...
Well, my opinion at FMSCA, they need to enforce the rules they got on the book, and instead of going and making new rules, there's a lot of rules that should be enforced out here that they're not enforcing. That's right in the green book.
Well,
and that is the problem that we're seeing right now is they're not enforcing the laws they're making. They just skip on to see how much harder we can make it. Well, let's back up here a minute, guys.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Monkey Gouger. And I think part of what's really hit me about this is this does absolutely nothing for the illegal operators that are out there. Okay?
No, exactly.
If you're running illegally now, this doesn't do anything to help catch you. This doesn't do anything to make things better. It doesn't make it, in no way does this get those guys off the road. All it does is put more burden on the guys who are already running legally and may or may not have had a bad month. Maybe you had a driver who, just really blew it for you this month, and you've got 10 trucks, you got one driver who had a bad month, and now your whole company's in trouble. And then you got another company that's out there that has no legal drivers whatsoever. They've got 10 guys out there driving a truck, but none of them have a CDL. And all they have to do to fix things if they get in trouble is change the name of the company.
Absolutely.
That's right. Reincarnation carrier is what they call that.
So what are we doing, chasing down these guys who are doing everything they can to be responsible, to build the kind of company that they can be proud of, to have the right, tasks that they want to do everything that they're supposed to be doing right. And if you get caught running the whole thing illegally, you get a $10,000 fine. Excuse me?
Yeah.
If I own one of these illegal companies and I'm out there running 10 trucks illegally and I'm going to get caught, the driver's going to go to jail, and I'm going to get hit with a $10,000 fine, I'll take that every day. Because what's the risk?
You don't have one.
For you, nothing.
You're absolutely right.
So why put more on the companies that are legal give them more restrictions, change around. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to make everybody safe. You know, you want to make everybody safer. Throw the book, I mean hard, at anybody who is operating without a CDL or anybody who operates somebody without a CDL. If you own a company, it's your truck, and there's a man driving that truck who doesn't have a CDL, you're going to jail.
Exactly.
Yep. And I can't disagree with that. That makes a lot of sense. But I'll give you the answer to your question, Tom. It's called money, because a lot of these things that they're proposing at the end of the day, it's stuff that's going to allow them to write more tickets or get fines in different areas for things like that. And I think almost every driver, and I'm one of them, that believes 90% of our safety regulations are not about safety, they're about revenue.
Well, but the same thing. Why is there only a $10,000 fine if you get caught operating illegally? Why not?
Because they still want you.
Make it $1 million fine and take that money and put it back in the pocket of the FMCSA.
And I think some of it is because they know $1 million they never collect, 10,000 they can, and they know they'll get the guy again in another 6 months to a year for another 10,000. Yeah. So I think they're looking at it as an investment.
Yeah.
The thing about that is, you bring up a very good point. But when they get up yonder and they go before the judge or whoever they go before to reckon this, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna get knocked down. I mean, I've seen an instance here not too long ago where they charge this trucking company for supposedly put them out of business, and I followed it. It's supposed to have been like a $60,000 fine, and the judge reduced it to $500.
Wow.
That's the problem we're having. They make these laws, and they get up there before these liberal judges, and you know, they say, well, you know, we'll give him that second chance. Well, that second chance might mean he kills my family, your family, or somebody else's family, and he's still up to doing the same old tactics.
But that's my point exactly. You know, they want to spend now the next couple of months writing this stuff, looking it up. I bet you there's going to be a great presentation at Matt's talking all about this, because they'll be right in the sweet spot of the discussion period about all this kind of. They're going to talk about all of this kind of stuff and talk about how they can put it on the backs of today's current fleets and still not address a major issue that's out there. So you're right, Tom. You're right 100%, of course. Yeah, it comes down to the money, but at the end of the day, you're not making anything safer. So don't sit there telling me about, oh, yeah, this is all about improving safety, and we're taking input from the study from 2017. They're going to make it sound so sweet that you'd look like an idiot to oppose it, when the truth of it is, that's not the problem. I'm not saying that there's not problems with legally run services. Now, of course there is. They could all do better. But at the same time, that's not the number one problem that these guys are facing, or that we're facing as a public. You know, we got trucks coming in from other countries filled with people, filled with fentanyl, filled with whatever, and the whole thing is a big crime, from the owner of the truck to the driver to. What are we doing about that stuff? Why are we sitting here? We're going to count whether or not Tom Kirk has trimmed his toenails and whether or not he's done it in the last 30 days and worry about that crap. And in the meantime, we're going to continue to let these other things happen because the penalty doesn't fit the crime. You can get away with doing this stuff. I can run oranges all day long from Florida to New York without a licensed driver, and nobody's going to stop me. And if they do, okay, I get my hand slapped, and he goes to jail. What do I care?
Yep, farm licensed.
You're exactly right on that. I mean, why? You know, I mean, I just went through a bout with the FMSCA on renewing my waiver this year. Got 6 million accident-free miles. Been driving a truck 47 years. I missed one date. They turned me down, and I had to jump through hoops to finally get it done because she waited to the last minute to go ahead and okay it. I mean, you know, at what point does the government stop with all this overregulation? And that's what this is. It's overregulation of the trucking industry.
Exactly what it is.
And you know, and I've heard people scream, "Oh, there's a truck driver shortage." No, it ain't a truck driver shortage. Ain't nowhere close to being a truck driver shortage, because if you go around these truck stops at night, you can't get in them. What it is, these bottom feeder companies are having trouble keeping meat in the seat, so they're screaming about it. And the one screaming the loudest is the ATA.
Yep. Hey, listen, we got to take our break. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. Getting a little bit hot in here. We'll try to cool things off, run a little AC, and come back and talk more about what's happening out there in the real world. TNCRadio.live. Stay right there. All right, guys, we've got a 3.
Gary'sApps.com is the destination for apps that helps gig workers be safer, more focused, and more proficient. The Maximo app, which is spelled MAXYMO, it helps Uber, Lyft, and Grubhub drivers by automatically switching between apps and turning them on or off as needed. For example, if a driver accepts an Uber trip, Maximo will turn off all the other apps that are online, and when the trip is completed, it'll turn the apps back on for the driver. It will also auto-accept or decline offers based on the driver's personal preferences that they set directly in Maximo. Find out more at Gary's Apps, GARYS Apps.com for more information and download the apps you need
to me,
today.
That issue is all around the people
this
who
blog is brought to you
are
by
out
the
there
Truckers
doing
Network
it illegally and wrong, while everybody else is trying to do it legally and right.
Truckers Against Trafficking can help fight modern-day slavery. Human trafficking is a real and frightening issue in the United States. It's a crime that forcefully exploits women, men, and children. Human trafficking involves transporting a person into a situation of exploitation, which can include forced labor, marriage, or prostitution. The term exploitation in this sense is commonly referred to as modern slavery. At this time, it's estimated that there are 20 to 40 million human trafficking victims internationally. According to the ACLU, the United States Department of State estimates that 14 to 17,000 people are trafficked into the United States each year. Truckers Against Trafficking exists to educate, equip, empower, and mobilize members of the trucking, bus, and energy industries to combat human trafficking. Truckers Against Trafficking goals: saturate trucking and related industries with TAT materials. Partner with law enforcement and government agencies to facilitate the investigation of human trafficking. Marshal the resources of partners to combat this crime. The Truckers Network proudly sponsors Truckers Against Trafficking and their efforts to fight against this heinous crime that's affecting hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. How truckers can help. Training video. Watch Truckers Against Trafficking's free training video and take the short quiz through their online portal. This will register you as an official TAT-trained, TAT-certified driver. Know the red flags. Download the Truckers Against Trafficking app and request a wallet card and window decal at tat.truckers@gmail.com. Share. Share Truckers Against Trafficking's training with others in person and through social media. How trucking companies, schools can help? Training video. Share Truckers Against Trafficking's free training video with your drivers. Request a digital file of your video or physical DVD from tat.truckers@gmail.com. Know the red flags. Tell your drivers to download the Truckers Against Trafficking app and or request wallet cards for your drivers from tat.truckers@gmail.com. Register. Register your company as trained to reflect your impact in the fight against trafficking and encourage others to do the same. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example, stiction. Found throughout the oil system, stiction is the sticky friction that negatively impacts your engine's ability to function at an optimal level. The molecular structure of oil is a hydrocarbon. The engine's extreme heat, tight tolerances, and high pressure cause the oil to break down and release hydrogen, leaving behind varnish, a carbon-based deposit. The varnish clings to the engine's moving parts, creating drag on the turbocharger larger oil pump and pistons. Symptoms of stiction include a rough idle and the loss of fuel economy and performance. Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator delivers a 98% clean rating in third-party scrub tests. Its synthetic cleaner plus nano lubricant contains no harmful solvents and is formulated to be left in the engine to safely dissolve stiction for thousands of miles. It works as you drive.
Stiction Eliminator is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Welcome back in TNCRadio.live. We're live on a Wednesday night talking about all sorts of different things here on Keep On Talking with Tom and Christine. Christine, turn it back over to you.
Hey, Tom, you brought up some really good topics about the FMCSA regulation changes, so I'm going to let you have it for a little while and finish it out.
Well, the thing I wanted to follow up on, we've got an entire industry now, and I'm not going to name names, but you know who I'm talking about. An entire industry that's out there that's supposed to help small fleets and even large fleets stay safe and be in compliance with FMCSA ruling. It's a whole world that's out there that they love all this. They love the changes because the changes allow them to make changes to their software and to their apps and so forth, and keep you on your toes and make sure that you're compliant, and that whether you call it the green book or the whatever it is that the app that you're using to make sure everybody is compliant in your fleet and that you're compliant within your fleet and all of that kind of good stuff. Whole industry out there doing it. They make millions and millions. And I applaud them. They do a great job. Being a tech guy, I get what they're doing. I get why they're doing it. I'm all over it. Great stuff. Who is taking care of, where's the industry around getting the people off the road who shouldn't be on the road to start with? We're spending an awful lot of money making sure that we're staying compliant for the people who are already legal. What are we doing about all the stuff that's happening out there that's not illegal? Where's that industry? Where's that work? What are we doing as an industry to make sure that when these guys get caught, that they never have an opportunity to get behind a wheel again, because they know if they do, that they're going to be in jail so long that they'll never see their grandchildren. You got to make it painful, or why bother with all the other stuff? Why bother even having an FMCSA if it's only to restrict those who are willing to follow the rules of the FMCSA, and everybody who doesn't want to follow the FMCSA, no big deal, because the cost is worth the penalty. The risk that I take, I don't mind paying that risk. I get caught, darn. Why? It doesn't make any sense to me to even have the FMCSA at all if you're not going to just destroy everybody who isn't following the rules of the FMCSA. I mean, it's got to be brutal. It's got to be ugly. It's got to be so nasty that you would never consider, trying to run illegally. And yet we really, how many? I mean, do we even know what percentage of trucks are out there illegal?
No,
thousands.
No one does.
Yeah, thousands.
But here's a great example, and this happened just in the last year or so. And it was an unfortunate accident. That driver up in Colorado who killed a bunch of people, and then when they went to throw him under the jailhouse, everybody started rallying around him. And the funny thing is, well, I do agree there was extenuating circumstances in that situation, and he was put into a situation where he shouldn't have been for a whole bunch of things. Drivers who, when that accident first happened, were saying, let's build the jailhouse on top of them. When more information came out, they started being more sympathetic and saying, we need to rally around them. And I think there's a point where, yes, you need to rally around drivers. There's also a point where you need to say, you know what, he screwed up. I'm not saying some of the penalties he was getting, I think, was excessively harsh. But at the same token, you need to let the legal system do its job and not just jump in as the governor and pencil whip it because people are in a fury saying, we're going to make this better. We're going to make this better. I think there was a bunch of mistakes made there on that one.
Absolutely. You're talking about a 125-year sentence that man got. He's a flatlander from Puerto Rico who was trained in Texas and never trained to go into Colorado. Had no idea what his truck was capable of doing. So who does that fall on? Does that fall on the company itself or FMCSA for not tagging the company to begin with all of their maintenance violations prior?
Yeah.
Who's?
And on a truck that, in all honesty, shouldn't have been driving on the flatland, let alone the mountains. But that's a whole nother conversation. And it points out a lot of the flaws in the system, which is what you've been going to all night, Tom, is that, we need to get these bad actors off the road and keep them off the road where they don't go and, it's a miracle, they're back the next day under a different name.
Yeah.
All the time.
So, Tom, you got about 3 minutes left. You wanted to talk about more stuff going on at Matt's.
Yeah, well, Matt's this year, it's going to be a pretty good show. I know Gallagher and I both were there last year, and both of us agreed. We thought it was one of the best Matt's that we've ever attended. Yeah, it was a little bit smaller. It was a very different feel, but you really got a chance to talk to people, drivers, but as well as the people and who worked in the booth. A lot of the company presidents were there. So you got a chance to get to know them. And this year, if you want to get a chance to know some of the IBI people who I work for, but especially some of the TNC radio people, especially Tom Kelly, and put a face to that voice that gets so fired and passionate up on behalf of drivers, you can do that. We're going to be in the West Wing, booth 69077. That'll be the IBI Security Transport. But quite a few of the faces from TNC Radio are working on being there. I know Christine's working on it. I'm going to be there. A whole bunch of other people will be there. Tom Kelly will be there. And we're going to have a great time getting to know some of you as drivers and doing some of the things that we do. And, I'll be talking a little bit also about IBI Security Transport for those who are interested in teaming. But our goal there is to get to know the drivers, start building relationships, which is really kind of what this show is all about. And the whole concept when we came up with this show was the old counter of knowledge days, where you might come in thinking you were going to talk about one thing. Well, then you go down this trucker trail and you end up talking about something entirely different and making some new friends and some passionate allies. So that's A, what this show's about, but B, what Matt's is all about. And we hope we see you there. But if you would like to register, go to truckingshow.com. That's to register there. And if I'm not mistaken, Tom Kelly, if people email us at info@tncradio.live, we might even be able to give them some VIP treatment. Am I correct on that?
You betcha. Happy to do so. If you would like a VIP ticket to Matt's, just let us know. Send us a note at info@tncradio.live. We'll follow up with you within a few days and get your information, get you all set up there with VIP pass. Also want to mention, too, coming up next, right here on this station, it's Taillights with the Bombs. Larry and Angie Baum, they will also be at Matt's, and they'll be spending a little time dropping by and saying hello to people at the booth. Angie, Larry, are you with us already?
Yes, I am.
All right. So you're going to drop by and say hello to everybody from the TNC Radio IBI booth, correct?
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be my first year, and I'm super excited.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to that, too. We're looking forward to your show tonight. That'll be starting in just a few minutes. You've been listening to TNC Radio.live. Keep on talking. Stay tuned next for Taillights with the Bombs.